And it made me think about how Trevor told me he had once failed a polygraph test, but I didn't realize that could have been an indicator for the crime he would go on to commit. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to it. If this is the first time you're seeing this mug, thank you for clicking on it. My name is Jacy, and I have another crazy dating story time for you guys. I do it in air quotes for reasons that will become apparent later. I love doing story times, and I think some of my most popular videos are my dating story times. And while I do have more of those, again, I'm just trying to make sure that you guys like me and that you like my more tame and mundane stories before I just overload with all of my crazy story times. So I like to keep you on your toes. So if you only like me for the dating story times, then don't subscribe because I don't do those all of the time. But if you like me, if you like just hanging out with me, and if you like some of the more tame and mundane story times, chit chats, and rants, then consider subscribing. It really helps me out, and I would love to see you guys again. If you guys like me even more than that, I do have a YouTube channel membership option, which gives you 2 vlogs a month. Yes, that's 2. And I've been having so much fun with those. I've just been loving vlogging my day-to-day life and kind of encouraging myself to get out of my apartment and explore LA just for some content. So I've been having a good time with that. So if you like me and you have $5 to spare a month, then consider joining my membership. Huge thank you to my current members for supporting me and loving me and watching me. I appreciate it so much. But yes, this will be a dating story time, and it does have to deal with some sensitive topics, including SA. So if that is a trigger for you, don't watch this video. But just wanted to give that warning now that this video will have a little bit more of a serious and sensitive tone towards the end. So bear that in mind. But with that being said, let's get started on this crazy dating story time about somebody that I used to know. So this story begins several years ago when I was starting at a new restaurant and I was a college student. So I was a college student back in like 2012. Oh my gosh, this was almost 10 years ago, the start of the story. Am I that old? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just going to say a few years ago because that makes me feel so much better. But this story starts a few years ago when I had just started at a new restaurant. I will be leaving the restaurant unnamed as well as all of the people involved because it does involve sensitive topics, so I hope you understand that. But I had started at this new restaurant as a server. And this restaurant was very much sink or swim. Like you had to pick it up quickly, all of their processes, their menu, everything. Otherwise, you're not going to last very long. And so I found that I was kind of bothering a lot of the veteran servers by asking them my silly questions because they'd be like, honey, if you can't figure this out, you're never going to figure it out. So find somebody else to help you out because I don't have time. Blows cigarette smoke in my face. That didn't actually happen, but that was kind of very much the attitude that I felt very alone and that I couldn't ask for help. However, there was a host that I somewhat knew. Now, I knew this person because we were the same age, and though we hadn't gone to the same high school or anything, we were the same age, living in the same hometown, so we had a lot of mutual friends, and it was kind of like, do I know you? You just look familiar. I just feel like I've seen you around town before. So I immediately found comfort in him because he was trying to work his way up as a server from a host, and he had worked at the restaurant for several years, and so he knew several of the processes a little bit more than I did, despite me being kind of like a level up. So instead of going and asking those veteran servers who were gonna scoff and roll their eyes at me, I'd go to him and be like, hey, do you know how to split a check by any chance? And be like, yeah, you do it like this. Or I would just kind of go and ask him like, hey, do you know what kind of oil we cook our fries in? Yeah, vegetable oil. Okay, cool, thanks. So I was able, because he was a little bit more of a familiar face, I kind of was established a little bit of a connection with him from the very beginning because he was helping me out from the get-go. So he is the main character of this story, and we will call him Trevor. So Trevor and I developed a friendship pretty quickly because we did kind of establish that initial connection. But I will also say that over time it developed into a bit of a flirtationship. I was in a relationship at the time. I was living with my boyfriend. It was very serious, and I had no intention of cheating on him, of starting something with this Trevor fellow. It was just very much a work crush, is how I will describe it. He and I kind of immediately, because we became friends, it was like we were each other's work crush, where it was just very much harmless flirting, very much being like, oh my God, help me roll silverware because I don't want to. Oh my God, Trevor, stop.
Okay, but can you also like stop seating me with the hard tables and seat me with the good tables? Because I'm not getting any tips over here. Okay, thanks.
So it was like a give and take kind of relationship. So it was not going to develop into anything. And so that's why I put dating in quotes, because I never did date this person, but it was very much a romantic kind of crush going on.
So the word that I was looking for here was he was essentially my work husband, which is a common term used to describe a platonic friendship with a work colleague or coworker where they develop a strong emotional bond and really support each other while at work simply because they're just spending so much time together. So it really is just characterized as a flirty yet platonic friendship.
So I hope I explained that correctly, and I hope you guys don't come for me being like, you cheated, because I didn't, but it was just the culture. I don't know, it's hard to explain. So as I continued to work there, I learned that at this restaurant specifically, not so much at any other restaurants where I've worked before, they had a huge drinking culture among their servers and staff. And so what this means is that, kind of like clockwork, every weekend after a long shift, a big group of the staff would go out to TGI Fridays and sip Moscow mules and sangria and just kind of decompress from a long weekend shift. So I started getting invited to these, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I had just turned 21. Again, I was in college. Drinking as an activity was new to me. And so it created this whole new world of events and activities that I could go to, where I could get to make new friends, get to know my coworkers a little bit more, and sip cocktails. You know, that's always a fun hobby. So I found that when I would go on these kind of ritualistic weekend drinking nights with my coworkers, I would always kind of be hanging out with Trevor. And we developed a really good friendship over time. I was able to get to know him a little bit more, know his, passions and hobbies, as well as just some of his pursuits in life. I would talk to him about how I was in college and I was majoring in journalism, but I kind of lost the passion for it. And so I was lost because I didn't know if I should change majors or if I should pick up an internship in a different career field, that sort of thing. He would also confide in me a lot because he was a young man, but he was trying to expedite the process of becoming a police officer as fast as he could. So despite being just 21 years old, he was applying for all these police academies, and he just wasn't getting the interviews. He wasn't getting in as quickly as he would like. And so he was also kind of feeling a little bit stuck in his career field, but also very ambitious and very dedicated to achieving that. So we would just kind of talk. Again, it was not at all like crossing any boundaries at this point. That's when I noticed that his flirting kind of started to go away from just the restaurant. Because again, it was kind of just our own little cocoon in the restaurant where it would just be like, oh my God, thanks for seating me at the good tables. Bye, see you next weekend. Where he started following me on social media and flirting there. And I also wanted to show these because I believe that when I tell these stories, I have to give some type of receipt so you guys just know these aren't completely made up. I obviously didn't save any text messages or photos or anything, but I do have like some tweets that we were tweeting back and forth just to kind of give you an idea of the flirting that was going on and how it was starting to get to a level of, hey, maybe this isn't okay. So the first one I have here is he tweeted, I opened my leftovers and found this, hard eyes, crying emoji. Jacy Aaron always can bring a smile to my face, even when ... Now, I can't open up the photo because he has since deleted Instagram, but I know exactly what it was because I did it for everybody. So everybody had to actually order their food through another server at this restaurant because you couldn't order your own food because then you could try to be sneaky and like add a whole piece of salmon for free. It was kind of tricky. So I would place his orders for him and then I would have to package it up. So what I would do for everyone, not just him, is I would actually write a little note and I would put, I spit in this, love Jacy. And I would just put it in the leftovers. And so, I don't know, I guess he thought that that was me being so cutesy and not that I did that for everyone, that he was just like, oh my gosh, Jacy Aaron just knows how to make me smile, hard eyes. And so that's when I was just kind of like, ha ha ha, glad you enjoyed it. Like, you don't need to be tweeting about it. Like, it was just a silly little joke, but whatever. And then the second one I put is that even though I suck at it, I really want to go bowling soon. Yes, it's a typo. I was dumb back then. Sorry. I really do suck at bowling. But he responded, Jacy, oh my God, me too. And I said, you suck at bowling too, or you want to go to? That's when he texted me and he said, we should totally go bowling soon. I remember responding, yeah, let's get a group together and see who wants to go. Like, I'm down to go this weekend. And I very specifically remember, again, I don't have the text to prove this, but you guys are gonna have to trust me. That's why I tried to show you this, is that he said like, oh yeah, I guess we can invite others too. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's kind of crossing a line. Like, that's us just hanging out. That kind of feels like a date. Maybe this is like getting too far in our flirtationship. And again, I really want to emphasize that this was not going anywhere from my perspective. I was just very much in the mindset of like, oh my God, we're just like playfully teasing each other. It wasn't even like, oh my God, you look hot today. It was literally, oh my gosh, stop and help me sweep so I can get out of here faster. So because of this, that's when I kind of started to back away a little bit from the flirting with him, because I was like, I want to make sure he's not getting the wrong idea. And I kind of reemphasized that like, hey, you know I have a boyfriend, right? Like, that's crossing the line. And he would be like, oh, I totally know. Like, no, I didn't even mean it like that. I thought we were just friends. No, it's totally fine. And I was like, okay, as long as we're on the same page here. So there's one night where we all go out drinking, and there was a fellow coworker who was confiding to the group that he really liked another coworker, but was worried that he'd be making it weird if he asked her out because she is a coworker, and that kind of rejection everybody would hear about. And so we were trying to tell him, like, no, go for it. Like, you never know unless you try, sort of thing. That's when Trevor kind of made a confession to the group, and he's like, I gotta tell you, I really liked this one girl that we worked with, and I really wanted to ask her out. I really started to get feelings for her, but she had a boyfriend, so it really just didn't make sense for the time. But if she's single and you're getting vibes from her, just go for it. Like, you really have to go for it. I can no longer pursue that with this girl that I liked, but you should really try. And so I remember just kind of going cold, because I was like, oh my God, he's talking about me in not so subtle fashion. I didn't realize that he had caught feelings. I didn't realize that it had gotten to this point. Like, I have made a terrible, terrible mistake. My bad. So after we are finished drinking with everybody, I was like, hey, Trevor, like, can we talk? And I was just like, was that about me? And he was like, yeah, of course it was about you. And I apologized to him. I said, listen, I am so sorry that I gave you the wrong impression. I didn't mean to like lead you on by any means, but I have a boyfriend, and this is not ever going to be a thing. That is absolutely crossing a boundary. Like, I just want to make sure that we are just friends, and that will never happen. He let me know that he got way ahead of himself. He said that I was not actually flirting back to the extent that I probably thought I was to give him that impression. He was just like, no, I think that I just caught feelings for you as a person and not at all by your own actions. I really apologize, but trust me, I know that that would be crossing a boundary. I know it's never going to happen. Don't even worry about it. So I was like, okay, we cool? We cool. So I worked at this restaurant for about a year. We kind of stopped the flirting. We absolutely did not ever cross that boundary. And again, he kind of emphasized to me that I didn't give him the wrong impression. So I hope that that's coming across to you guys. But we were good friends, and I remember very specifically still encouraging him on his career path. One really notable thing was that, this is kind of an interesting story too, like a little subplot that we'll tie in later, was he finally did get an interview with his dream police academy. And he was preparing for the process, because to get into this academy, it was a ton of background checks, a ton of physical exams, as well as written exams. But there was one element, which was a polygraph test. And so he was telling me that he had this polygraph test coming up, and that that was kind of the easiest part. You just had to tell the truth, and that was pretty much it. So he takes his polygraph test, and I remember seeing him at work, and he was very sad. Absolutely just completely depressed, and you can sense it in just everything about him. And so I remember kind of pulling him aside and being like, hey, how'd the test go? And he kind of breathes a heavy sigh, and he goes, well, I passed the test, but I got eliminated because of it. And I was like, what does that mean? What happened? And he said, well, they ask you in this polygraph test, like, a lot of questions to make sure, that you haven't done any sketchy things in your past. So they'll ask you, have you ever done narcotics before? Have you ever sold narcotics? Have you ever stolen anything from a store? He said that they asked him, have you ever had sex with a minor? And he asked, well, my girlfriend, I turned 18 before her, so she was still technically a minor. Does that count? And the polygraph person said, it's a yes or no question. And so he said he was so confused, because he was like, I mean, I could answer no, but then that's not the truth. Like, how do I answer this? So he said he answered yes. So he passed the polygraph test. He answered it completely truthfully. But they didn't see where he asked for that technicality. They didn't get the follow-up kind of explanations for his test. All they saw was that he answered yes to sleeping with a minor, and they were like, okay, that's breaking the law. We're not going to let you into our police academy. And he was eliminated. Trevor was devastated, because, mind you, at this point, it was kind of all we were talking about at this point, was just encouraging each other to follow our dreams, our ambitions, and our career goals. And here he was finally getting into the police academy that he had been working so hard to get into. And he gets eliminated on a technicality. And that does kind of suck, because there are so many kind of relationships where you both start off as minors, and then maybe one person turns 18 before the other person does. So it's like, yeah, technically, but there wasn't a case of grooming going on. It wasn't like it was an inappropriate relationship. And so he got eliminated for that. And so I was just like, man, like, that sucks, but you got to keep trying. There's other police academies out there. He didn't really want to hear it, which I totally don't blame him for. So he was pretty sad about it for a long time. Shortly after that, I actually ended up leaving that restaurant. I had graduated from college, and I was ready to start my next job, which I got fired from. I always promote that video. I don't know why I keep promoting. Go watch the video about how I was a dum-dum and got fired. Yeah, but that's why I quit this job. I went and got hired and fired there. So I leave working at this restaurant, and it was interesting because that was kind of the end of our friendship. Like, it's one of those things you see in hindsight, but it's like, oh yeah, we were kind of only friends by convenience because we were seeing each other every single weekend, and not because we were actually like that great of friends outside of work. So once I left the restaurant, that was pretty much it. I really didn't talk to him after that, which was fine by me. I had other things going on. It wasn't until a few years later, I was friends with him on social media, that I saw he got hired as a police officer. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember commenting on it like, Trevor, you worked so hard for this. I am so proud of you. Like, all of your hard work has paid off. It may have taken a little bit longer, but you finally did it, and you should be so proud of yourself. And I really was, because it was something that he was so passionate about, and something that I kind of feel like I was trying to push him to continue to pursuing, despite getting eliminated from that first initial police academy. So from there, it was nothing but good news. I just kind of like sent him my congratulations, and then that was pretty much it. That was probably the last time I ever talked to Trevor. Fast forward to the year 2020, 2 years ago in my current time, and I hop on Facebook, and I start seeing the same kind of repeated story being shared by people on Facebook. And I didn't immediately click on it, because at this time it was just a headline. But the fact that I kept seeing it over and over again shared by the same people from this restaurant, that's when I decided to click on it. And that's when I saw an article about Trevor, who, again, was a police officer at this time, was just arrested for the R word of a 16-year-old girl. So naturally, I was shocked and in disbelief, and I really didn't have any words, because my initial thought was, no, like, Trevor? No, that can't be. But then I read the article, and I'm going to go ahead and read the article here. Again, if this makes you uncomfortable, please click away from the video, but I do want to just share the full extent of what was written. So I'm going to be reading, but also redacting some areas of this story. But the headline is that police officer got 16-year-old girl drunk, then R-worded her. Trevor, 28 years old, was arrested on June 4th of suspicion of R-wording a drugged victim. Trevor was booked and posted bail worth $250,000 the following day. KTLA reports that the investigation began when a police captain became aware of a social media post from a woman indicating that she had been sexually assaulted by a police officer. After an investigation, authorities concluded that the alleged crime occurred 4 years ago, prior to Trevor's employment with this police department. The victim of the alleged R-word was a 16-year-old female. However, due to California laws, Trevor could not immediately be fired. The police chief said he is on paid leave, and that is disgusting. He also vowed to endeavor to terminate him in the most expeditious manner possible. The police chief also said that while the department's background process for prospective officers takes about 3 to 5 months and includes a psychological evaluation and polygraph test, it, quote, missed the mark and hired someone we should not have. So just to summarize that article and kind of reiterate, when Trevor was 24 years old, he got a 16-year-old girl drunk and R-worded her. And it wasn't kind of unveiled until 4 years later, when he then became a police officer. So I'm reading this article again in just absolute shock and disgust, because I've never known anybody to commit such heinous of a crime. I mean, I've done other story times of kind of my proximity to other crimes, but this one was truly like this gut-wrenching feeling, because it was like, I didn't even know this person, and he committed probably one of the most disgusting and truly awful things that I could ever even imagine. And it made me go back to that one story he told me about taking the polygraph test, where they asked him, have you ever had sex with a minor? And I don't want to accuse or assume, but it had me thinking, like, what if he answered yes to that question because he knew the truth and he knew what he had done, but he was trying to frame it in a way that seemed more socially acceptable and that would be kind of forgiven by the police academy had he been given the chance to explain it? Now, this might not have been the case because this specific instance occurred when he was 24 years old and I knew him before that, so it wasn't the exact same case, but, it does kind of get you thinking in terms of he specifically told me about a story about having sex with a minor, and here he was getting arrested for it. It just gives me such a weird feeling that I can't even describe. I mean, like, it was just waves of disgust and revulsion and nausea and horror and just being so ashamed that I knew this person, that I thought I knew them, but that I was also kind of flirting with them. And, if the situation was different, I could have possibly dated. I could have possibly pursued a relationship with him. I don't think I would have, but, just kind of gets you thinking of how you really think you know somebody, and then it turns out that they're this monster hidden inside of them this whole time. Oh, it's so sad. So the crazy part about all of this, as if it's not crazy enough, is he was placed on paid leave. So again, because of some weird California law, they can't immediately terminate him until an investigation is completed. So after posting his $250,000 in bail, he got to go sit home in his comfy house and get paid to sit there while some poor girl has her life ruined and has to go through all of this and go through this new media storm and investigation about a very, very traumatizing experience in her life, while he got to get paid during all of it. That's just so insane to me. I mean, it makes sense, it's kind of like innocent until proven guilty, but it's like, that's wild. The Facebook comments on this were rightfully horrified and really explicit. There's some that are saying like, evil, lowlife, disgusting, sick, POS, $250,000 bail, should have been $10 million. What an absolute sicko. I hope he rots in hell. Just like Facebook comments. But it was so fascinating to see it from a perspective of knowing this person and seeing people comment these things, where it's like, yeah, I agree with them. Like, how could you do something like this? You absolutely deserve the full extent of any kind of punishment that you get. There was actually a petition that I believe got signed by over 9,000 people trying to get him off paid leave, because again, that is absolutely ridiculous. But I also understand that it is part of the law and part of the process, that it's just how things go, and that's super unfortunate. I don't know enough about the law to be like, they shouldn't be on paid leave. They should just be unpaid until the administrative process and investigation is figured out. But I just don't know enough about it to offer that as my kind of solution. But people were rightfully upset. And again, all of these restaurant workers that I had worked with were sharing these, and kind of just all of a sudden I reconnected with them and being like, I can't believe this. But maybe I also kind of do. It's hard to say. So in my time right now, it is 2022 and there is no update on the case. I can't find anything on the internet. No kind of new trial has happened. I don't know if perhaps they've settled out of court. I don't even know if he is still on paid leave. I don't believe he is. I'm pretty sure that after 2 years, he probably would have been terminated by now, that some type of initial investigation would have concluded. But I just don't have any more updated information, which is also why I don't want to share a lot of the specifics of the case, because I want to protect myself as just like a small little YouTuber, and also that I don't feel like I want to send any kind of negative attention towards that victim who has already been through such a traumatic and life-altering experience. So I hope you guys can understand that. So that's the quote-unquote dating story time for today. Again, I didn't know how to title this video or how to kind of launch into the intro, because I didn't date this person. But if I had titled it like my work crush or something like that, then I don't know, it's just not very SEO friendly. So I didn't actually date this person, but he did turn out to be a criminal monster. And I think the overall message of this video is that, sometimes you think you know somebody and you don't. The best you can do is try to protect yourself and be wary of your own surroundings and who you are surrounding yourself with. But also, if you get like weird vibes about people, trust your instinct, Maybe I should have thought a little bit harder when he told me that story of how he failed the polygraph test, because I don't know, maybe he was trying to cover his tracks for something else, or maybe it was an indicator of some future sinister actions that could have potentially happened. I don't know. It's really hard to say. I would love to know your guys' thoughts about this. This one was a weird one for me to do because I don't want to make it all about me, but I do want to share a lot of my story times and my proximities to other things that may have happened, just to either bring awareness of them or show you that, like, hey, life is crazy. You meet some wild people along the way, and just wanted to share it with you guys. So I hope this doesn't come across as insensitive. I hope it doesn't come across as it's just making it all about me and everyone's in love with me. That's not the case at all. But I just wanted to share it with you guys because I like talking to you guys. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I welcome any kind of feedback. I'm still navigating how I want to tell some of these stories without coming across as insensitive. So let me know any kind of recommendations you have. But I thank you guys for watching this video. I know it became definitely a much more serious tone towards the end, which it absolutely deserved. But I think that's important to discuss. But I thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will leave some links in the description below to some other story times, as well as to some wonderful organizations that do deal with SA and R word. Also, for those who don't know, as well, like mainly family members, you can't say those words on YouTube because it picks it up and it thinks like it doesn't want to promote those type of videos, so that's why I have to say that. But I'll leave some helpful links below that you guys can check out if this was a topic that was kind of either triggering for you and you're looking for some more organizations that might help. But I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Toodles! Let's get started on this crazy dating story time about somebody that I used to know. Somebody that you used to know, but you didn't have to cut me off. Make out like it never happened and now we were nothing. And I don't even need your love. You treat me like a stranger and that feels so rough. But you didn't have to stoop so low. Have your friends collect your records and then change your number. I guess that I don't need that though. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Somebody I used to know. Okay, now I'm done. Got off topic there. All right.